Shoeless Joe Jackson. Aren't you supposed to be in Iowa?
Welcome to Let's Get To, your tour of America through the lens of minor league baseball. Baseball from sea to shining sea. And now, the first pitch. Opening thoughts from James Christopher. Presented by BaseballMapper.com.
I'm James Christopher. This is the first pitch, and we're going to be back out to Greenville in just a second. And yes, you knew that I was going to be wearing the City Connect jerseys on the show as soon as I had the opportunity. And I had the opportunity. I did even order the 5950 just for display because that's what I do. But again, before we get out to Greenville, I do want to send a shout out to some very special people involved with baseball. And I want to start with Sisters Little League in Oregon, to Mike and to Mandy and to all the kids that are either playing baseball for the first time or this is their third, fourth, or whatever year. We actually had the opportunity to sponsor them this year. And one of the cool things that Mandy helped us out with was making sure that we got to sponsor Braxton's team. And I'm going to do my best to get through this without getting all, verklempt, to quote Michael Myers. I'm putting up the picture that I share all the time, my favorite picture that's ever been taken of me, ever, of me carrying Braxton to his first Astros game. You actually can see it right here as well, and it's on my wall. I have so many copies of this thing. To me, it is mind-blowing how awesome it is that he is starting his baseball journey. Now I'm putting up some pictures of Braxton's the day of his first game. The family all have rooting for Braxton t-shirts on. And, Lou is just a great little sister. It's such just an amazing time in his life. Now I'm putting up another picture, and this is his mom at her first Astros game. And unfortunately, Jordan had to wear the brick and the black, which is not my favorite Astros. You can probably see that on my face in the photo, actually. One of the cool things about this is that Jordan, when she was in high school, was an excellent softball player whose career was derailed by injury and several surgeries. The coolest thing about Braxton starting T-ball is that Jordan's helping to coach him. And one of the big reasons why we wanted to sponsor this particular Little League was, they're 2,000 plus miles away, and we wanted some way to feel close to that journey. Jordan and Max do an amazing job of making Jessica and I feel like we're a daily part of their lives, even though we simply can't be because of geography. And I love that, again, one of those things that's making us closer and bringing us together is this game of baseball. So again, to Mike and Mandy and all the people involved in Sisters Little League, thank you for letting us be a part of it. As long as Braxton's playing, and then when Lou starts playing, you can count on us to be part of the whole process. And that means if it's two sponsorships, it's two sponsorships. I do also want to do a special shout out to Stephanie Stewart and the folks at the Manchaca Little League, which is right in our neighborhood. And we're also sponsoring them with the sign on the wall. And then I guess another shout out to the English family, Melissa, John, Jackson, Joe, Sarah. I didn't know our sign was up until they were out there. So again, shout out to those guys. And we're very happy to be supporting you in that particular journey. In fact, John's a singer-songwriter who has a song later on in this episode. The simple thing, or what some people might claim or assume, is that we sponsored these things, these two little leagues, for advertising. And I'm sure, having Let's Get To on the back of the jerseys is something that's super cool and probably doesn't hurt. But really what it was our attempt as a show to support growing this game. I wasn't able to play little league. I don't really know why. I don't know if it was a money thing or simply a time thing, but it wasn't something that was an option to me. So for as much as I love baseball, I didn't start playing competitively until middle school. And I just remember feeling way behind my peers. And so if we can do something to help these kids grow in the game and enjoy the game, then it's so worth it. And the fact that I get to feel part of it with my grandson and eventually my granddaughter, it's really the best thing that I could ask for. So again, shout out to all of those people who are working so hard, the baseball moms, the organizers, the coaches, the umpires. It is not easy. Do remember that it's Little League though, and don't get in any weird fights over it, But again, thank you so much. Now, back to me in Greenville, South Carolina.
From the bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week.
So normally on From the Bleachers, we come to you from actual bleachers, but right now we're coming to you from the top of the Manchaca at Fluor Field, home of your Greenville Drive. We're having an amazing time. It was so much fun. This is minor league baseball at its best, so check out how our night went. Your excitement for Greenville Drive baseball literally starts when you get off the plane with this cool diorama advertising the high A affiliate of the Boston Red Sox. Fluor Field is nestled into buzzing downtown Greenville, part of a growing and happening restaurant and bar scene. I saw more golden retrievers than I've ever seen in my life down there. It was just a fun place to be. And the Greenville Drive are very much a member of this community, both geographically and spiritually. Walking up, it's a welcoming ballpark. It's more open than some at the beginning. You feel it before you get in thanks to the seating area, the Joe Jackson statue, the video board, and the team store that's separated from the main ballpark. And it's a beautiful day for a ball game, and it's Earth Day. What better way to be outside in some green space than in a great ballpark on a gorgeous day? First, it will never not be neat to me to be on a ball field. The feel of the grass, yes, Drew Barrymore, it's spongy, and the crushed brick of the warning track, it feels like I'm going into a place where gods roam, where greatness happens, and I'm just lucky to be there. The views in this place are breathtaking. The grounds crew does the work to keep this place immaculate, and there's an opportunity to see this place from many angles and elevations. I love to sit behind home plate during a ball game, but when I'm just taking in a ballpark, the higher ground, the better. Just like a Jedi. Sorry to get distracted from the ballpark tour, but I'm a dog person, and when you see a boxer and a lab running around the ball field, you take notice. The boxer's guardian is the head groundskeeper. He's 3 and he's pretty much grown up at this ballpark. He's very lucky, and these are some good doggos. But back to the job at hand. One of the special things about this ballpark and really drives the ballpark experience is the homage to Fenway Park, the Manchaca. It makes a homer to left a lot more difficult option with the high wall. It comes complete with a manual scoreboard, which I'm beginning to think should be required at all ballparks, from indie ball to summer league to A-ball to the majors. In both right and left center, we get 2 hard angles that will make for tricky ricochets and some space out there that will require a ball with a stewardess on it. That's right, 420 feet to get out of the ballpark. And this has been your Scotty Max Dimension Porn of the Week. There are some really great vantage points that you can take in the game as a fan in the ballpark. If you sit between first and third, you're right on top of the action. In right field, there's a neat double-decker party deck with bars and picnic tables, and there's seating available on the building just off of left field. But of course, one of the best views comes when you sit on the Manchaca. I just had to get up there to see the park at night. It's simply magical to take in the greatest game ever invented from these seats. When you see a ballpark lit up at night, it goes back to the heaven comparison. It feels like the gods put it here just for you. Fluor Field's got the eats too, y'all. All individually branded and tying into baseball's traditions and past.
From Sweet Caroline's ice cream shop to the splendid Splinters, they've got you covered. I went with the pulled pork nachos, and they were as awesome as they look. They've got a cool playscape in left field for the kiddos, and the kid learning to count playing hopscotch is about as cute as it gets. And the mascot, Reedy Rippet, really kills. Reedy Rippet, get it? He's a frog. Amazing. He's all over the ballpark, and he even found time to take a picture with little old me. But like I said, it was Earth Day, and I love the angle they approached it with. From facts on how we can all be better citizens of the planet to giving away actual trees, the attention to detail was excellent. But when you come to Fluor Field, you see a lot of fans enjoying the game, some on their birthday.
So I've got what's your name?
Aaron.
Aaron, I heard it's your birthday or was?
That's my buddy's birthday.
It's your buddy's. Why are you here?
For his birthday.
But I mean, why are you here? Should I talk to the birthday boy?
Yeah, talk to him.
Well, come on. Come on. See, usually when you meet somebody who has their birthday at the ballpark, they're 9, but I appreciate that you're still doing it.
Yeah. No, I'm 35 now.
You don't look a day over 23.
Thank you. That's what I'm going for.
How often do you come out to the ballpark here?
During the summer, we come once, probably 3 times a month.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, MLB, are you also a Red Sox fan? Do you follow them all the way up, or who do you like in the MLB?
Nah, just Braves and the Drive.
So, you said the Braves, and I have to go find a safe space because I grew up in Houston, Texas. I'm still a little stung, but the World Series pretty great, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I grew up watching Braves. And
I grew up being cursed by the Braves.
I really, well, my grandparents are in Atlanta, so they always push the Braves on us, so that's how we grew up watching Braves.
Well, congrats on the World Series. It was a pretty great series. What was your name again?
Benton.
Ben. Well, Benton, have a happy birthday from the Let's Get To show. This will be out in a couple weeks.
All right, cool. Thank you.
But then it came on us suddenly. It was time to go. Sweet Caroline was being sung by an enthusiastic crowd, and the game was winding down. I can't express what a gift this team is to the community. By being in the center of it, they are a constant part of the community's life, and much of the community centers about what goes on in the ballpark. It's a great relationship and one that I wish was more prevalent in baseball. You're seeing some of the best players in the world in a great venue with good friends and good eats and drinks. It's a very special part of the baseball landscape. Goodbye, Greenville, but hopefully not for long.
Show me the merch. Fashion, baseball style. Presented by the Baseball by Design podcast.
And this is Show Me the Merch. We're out front of the Greenville Drive team store just outside the ballpark. It's kind of a cool setup. It's standalone. They're open all year round. You can come get your Greenville Drive merch anytime you want to. I picked up the Ranas del Rio, their Copa de la Versión cap, and for my partner Andy Tom Chesson, the green Greenville Drive hat, which I picked up last year when I drove by. See? Open all year. Let's take a look at what else you can get at the team store.
Again, I love how the main store is set up. It's got a festive feel to it. It opens up wide, and I love that you can go year-round. Inside, you can find all their lids in 5950 and 5950 low profile, which I know a lot of fans really love and are sometimes harder to find. The green cap with the G, reminiscent of the Red Sox script, is a particular favorite. They also have a great collection of dad hats for all you fans of that particular style of cap. Looking at you, Ed. The sheer variety of shirts and other wear really creates a situation where there's something for everyone. I particularly love the Green Monster Y'all t-shirt. It brings the local community and the respect they have for the parent club together onto one shirt. But let's talk Copa. Their identity is the Ranas de los Rio, river frogs. It's a bright, colorful logo, and I love the way the brand looks on everything from hats to jerseys to t-shirts. The combination of the frog, the subtle baseball, and the bats for legs is just awesome. The Drive have it together when it comes to all manner of merch, from gear you wear to gear you display. Make sure you check them out online and get yours today, or better yet, get yourself out to a ball game. You won't regret it.
Raiders of the Lost Diamond, digging into baseball's past. Presented by Finn Lake Media Design.
So we're having a great time at Fluor Field. I want to thank all the folks in line to my right for helping me pronounce the ballpark correctly. This is Raiders of the Lost Diamond, and I'm surrounded by some Red Sox greats. I got Teddy Ballgame back here. I've got David Ortiz and Jimmy Fox. Baseball in Greenville has been around for a long time, and take a look at this Raiders to see some of Greenville's baseball past.
On Raiders of the Lost Diamond, we always aim to knock your socks off with the yarns that we spin. And hopefully today's episode will be no different. The Greenville Spinners, see what we did there? First took the field at Meadowbrook Park in 1908 as part of the Class D Carolina Association. Led by player-manager Tom Stouch, the Spinners finished second place in the circuit with a 48-36 record. A young Greenville native patrolled the outfield that season, a man who would go on to fame and infamy, but more on him later in the episode. We call that a cliffhanger in the business. The 1910 Spinners finished atop the Carolina Association with a 63-40 record, and featured another notable, though less famous, future major leaguer. Ivy Wingo was Greenville's backstop that season, knocking out 109 hits and accumulating a .275 batting average. Wingo would go on to play for the St. Louis Cardinals from 1911 to 1913 and for the Cincinnati Reds from 1914 to 1926, including a 1919 World Series runner-up team. The team continued in the Carolina Association with mixed success through the 1912 season before folding. After a 6-year layoff, a new Spinners team opened up shop in Greenville for the 1919 South Atlantic season. The reborn Spinners would play as a member of the Sally League with brief interruptions through the 1961 season. During that stretch, they won the league title in 1926, 27, 30, and 48. The 1930 side starred outfielder Dixie Walker, who would hit .401 with 11 homers. Walker would go on to be a 5-time All-Star, playing for the Yankees, the White Sox, the Tigers, the Dodgers, and the Pirates. He won the 1944 National League batting title while playing for the Dodgers in 1944, and was known by the nickname the People's Choice, which is choice in Brooklynese. Brooklynese. I wonder if you can study that at college. There's another joke there, I won't make it. The 1938 Spinners boasted first baseman Mickey Vernon, who hit .328 for the team. He would go on to be a 7-time MLB All-Star with the Washington Senators, the Indians, the Red Sox, the Milwaukee Braves, and the Pirates. Vernon won both of his batting titles with the Senators, batting an American League best .353 in 1946 and .337 in 1953. The 49 Spinners featured future Dodgers manager Tommy Lasorda, who pitched with the .293 ERA but only hit .169. Nice. Starting in 1963, Greenville teams began a long run of squads named for their MLB parent club. The homogeneity would finally be broken up when the Capital City Bombers, who we'll hear about in a couple of weeks, moved to town in 2005, becoming the current Greenville Drive.
Holler and a Swaller, a chug of ballpark brew. Presented by The Hitter Sports.
Now, normally on Holler and a Swaller, we'd be coming to you with an alcoholic beverage, but when your ballpark has an ice cream shop called Sweet Carolines, you pivot. Got a little mint chocolate chip on a waffle cone. We're also going to do something a little bit different. We're going to talk a little bit about Shoeless Joe, a quick ice cream toast to him and his role in Greenville.
In 1908, a young Greenville native patrolled the outfield, a man who would go on to fame for his batting prowess and infamy for his involvement with the Chicago Black Sox game-fixing scandal. That player was Shoeless Joe Jackson. The 20-year-old Jackson played every game for the Spinners in 1908, racking up 120 hits and a .346 batting average. Shoeless Joe's contract was then purchased by Connie Mack of the Philadelphia Athletics for $900. The rest is history. His quick rise to fame, the cheating scandal, the fall from grace. You can see the story in 8 Men Out, where Shoeless Joe is expertly played by D.B. Sweeney. And of course, we also see his imagined reconciliation with baseball in the movie Field of Dreams, less expertly played by Ray Liotta. I mean, Ray Liotta is as New Jersey as it gets, and Joe was a country boy from Pickens County, South Carolina. Joe Jackson was born in Pickens County, South Carolina in 1887. He moved to Greenville as a young boy only to fight a nearly deadly case of the measles. At the age of 13, he started his playing career for the company team at the mill where he worked. A 13-year-old boy working in a mill. Child labor much? He started out as a pitcher until he hit a batter and broke his arm. Then he moved to the outfield. In an interview published in October 1949 edition of Sport magazine, Jackson recalls he got his nickname during a mill game played in Greenville, South Carolina. Jackson had blisters on his feet from a new pair of cleats, which hurt so much that he took his shoes off before he was at bat. As play continued, a heckling fan noticed Jackson running to third base in his socks and shouted, "You shoeless son of a gun, you!" And the resulting nickname, Shoeless Joe, stuck with him throughout the remainder of his life. In 1908, he would leave the Mill League, playing for professional baseball in the aforementioned Greenville Spinners. He would go on to marry 15-year-old Katie Wynn at around the same time he signed with the Philadelphia A's. His professional career came to an end with the Black Sox scandal, but that didn't end his connection to baseball. He stayed in baseball for 20 years, playing under different assumed names, and managed a number of semi-professional teams, most located in Georgia and South Carolina. Shoeless Joe Jackson died of a heart attack in Greenville, South Carolina in 1951. In Greenville, a museum of his honor was set up, and they have appealed to Rob Manfred's office to get him reinstated and allowed into the Hall of Fame.
So that is it for Holler and a Swaller. If I eat this too fast, I'll get a ice cream headache, so Holler and a Swaller, baby. What?
On the St. Louis team, we have who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
That's what I want to find out. I want you to tell me the names of the fellas on the St. Louis team.
I'm telling you, who's on first, what's on second, I don't know's on third.
Do you know the fellas' names?
Yes.
Well, then who's playing first?
Yes.
I mean, the fellas'
Who's on
base.
first? The Let's
The fella
Get
playing
To
first
Team
base
of the
St.
Week.
Louis. Who? The guy on first base.
Presented by the Baseball Bucket
What are you
List
asking me for?
Podcast.
I'm not asking you, I'm telling you, who is on first?
I'm asking you who's on first.
So we're excited to welcome Eric Jarinko to Let's Get To. He is the GM of your Greenville Drive. Eric, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Let's talk about just how, first of all, we had an amazing time. Thank you so much for welcoming us out there. It was just a complete blast.
No, I'm glad you got to experience a game, and I think I called in a few favors to make sure we had some perfect weather for you as well.
No kidding. It really was. It was pencil perfect baseball weather. You know, the cool thing is we caught you guys at the beginning, and there's so much more that's going to be happening at Fluor Field. What's a little bit that we can look forward to as the season continues?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of the same approach that every minor league team has is, I mean, while we have baseball as our core product, it's all of the experiential things that are going on around the game, in between innings, around the concourse. I mean, we've always set ourselves up in that, you know, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays is kind of the staples of Dollar Drink Night on Thursday, Friday night fireworks, Saturday being, a giveaway or a national act like Superstars. And it's really where we spend a lot of our time is those Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday games and partnering with community organizations, Greenville County schools, things like that to do some unique events around the game. Otherwise, we'd kind of just have, 1,500 fans at those games otherwise. And I mean, you missed it on Sunday, but we had 7,800 people at the ballpark, our largest crowd ever, beating out, Dustin Pedroia's Rehab with us as our largest crowd ever. So it's really those things that we spend a lot of time and effort on to plan out. We've got some exciting things coming up, obviously some bobblehead giveaways and things like that. But as far as community nights and things like that, we've got a night coming up with Greenville County Schools called Drive for Excellence, where we recognize all of the high school student athletes in our county not for their on the field performance, but for their in the classroom performance. And the sports teams at each high school with the highest GPA get recognized, and the school with the highest GPA amongst its student athletes gets a trophy to display at the school. So those are kind of like the core things that we do.
I just think that's awesome. As a high school teacher, I don't know, I'm completely blown away by that. Kudos to you guys for doing that. That's such an awesome thing to do.
Yeah, and that's just, honestly, just a small sample of things that we do. Greenville and the upstate has a lot of tech companies, engineering firms. So we do an advanced manufacturing and engineering night as well, where it's a Tuesday in July before schools are even back in session. And we'll have BMW, Hubble Lighting, General Electric, all these big advanced manufacturing and engineering firms with these really cool exhibits on the concourse. Mm-hmm. And we promote it to middle school and elementary school kids. And again, it's a Tuesday before school's even back, and we'll have 6,500 people at the ballpark, and they're really there to do all of those experiential things on the concourse with hands-on experiences with 3D printers and drones and robotics. And that's really what we're trying to do on those, what we would refer to as a soft night, a Sunday, Tuesday, Wednesday game.
One of the things you dive into something I wanted to ask about, and that is like the community vibe. And one of the things I thought was so interesting was you guys blend the identity of the parent club really, really well, where it still feels like it's a drive game, but obviously the Red Sox influence is there. But I noticed that a lot of the fans are wearing Red Sox gear. And my first blush was, that's so interesting to me that these proud Southerners from South Carolina would be so respectful of a Yankee team, not the Yankees. But yeah, how did that even come about, and how important is it that y'all are able to kind of bridge that gap? Most obviously in the t-shirt, it's the monster y'all, which is just amazing.
Yeah, that's our top selling t-shirt too. Where you kind of take the play on how, the Boston speak of Green Monster, and then y'all of South Carolina and Green Monster y'all. That's honestly our top selling item year in and year out. But I think it's been a really positive shift over the last couple years. And really, when we first came to market, we were replacing the Braves that had a AA affiliate here for 18 years, and it was, you're replacing a AA team with a single A team, and now the Atlanta A is gone and it's the Boston B. And that obviously took some getting used to with folks who were born and raised in the upstate. But at the end of the day, the Red Sox brand is one of the most recognizable brands in the world. It's always been a great partnership that we've had with the Red Sox. And obviously when your ballpark is a mini replica of Fenway Park, that everyone, it doesn't matter if you're a Braves fan, a Red Sox fan, or a Yankees fan, you appreciate the history behind Fenway Park. I think we've seen a big shift though in the last couple years with regards to more fans actually wearing Red Sox attire, in that, you experienced it for just a short period of time, but this market has become very desirable, both from folks relocating to Greenville, South Carolina, but it's also become a tourist destination, which 15 years ago it really wasn't.
Right.
So I think that's where we've seen a big shift over the years too. Is early days we were always promoting to people that were born and raised here, and it wasn't really a tourist town and things like that. But there's just been this big shift over the last couple years. I think part of it is COVID related, in that a lot of people relocated here. This seems to be one of the few areas that when it comes to the housing market and things like that, doesn't seem like it's affected. It's been crazy. The growth over the last, 7-8 years. So yeah, I think that's been part of it too, because you're having a lot of Red Sox fans relocate to this area as well.
Again, you give me an idea for a question that I didn't think about, but you talking about tourism, how much of it now there is this like subculture of national minor league fans who are buying gear that gets shipped all over the country, that is also doing ballpark trips all over the country. I mean, how much has that kind of impacted what you guys are doing?
It's big. And what's really cool is, I mean, you hear about the analytics talk, especially on the on-field side, but I mean, I think all of us on the business side are starting to look at our analytics a lot more, and who are we getting to the ballpark? Because and it was really interesting to me when our VP of ticket sales, after our first 3 home games and then this past 6-game homestand, we've had 42 of 50 states already represented with ticket buyers at our first 9 home games. I think it's both Dakotas, Alaska. I mean, those are like the 3 or 4 that we haven't had yet. But I started out in this business 19 years ago on the media relations side. So obviously the baseball statistics always intrigued me, but now, being the general manager and focusing more on our ticket sales and food and beverage and merchandise, it's how can we look more into some analytics and data that way, and just getting that information has been pretty cool. And the number of first-time buyers that we're able to track and immediately send out a survey after the game or after the homestand of how was your experience, and we hope to see you back, and because you're from California, the next time you're in Greenville, South Carolina, let us know, and we want to provide you a complimentary ticket because you came to your first game and things like that. And it's all about how you can continue to interact with the fans, whether they're from here or not.
I love that answer because, we've known each other now, I guess, honestly, for at least a year and a half, longer than that. And I feel like, you've always come across to me as someone who is forward looking and realizing that you got to keep finding that new market to keep growing your team.
Yeah, absolutely. And even now it was interesting because we had a group chat going on in our league even after our first 9 games or the first 2 weeks of the season, because, across all of minor league baseball now, you've got pitch clocks, and we've seen the games going a lot quicker.
Yeah.
I think it's great that they're speeding up the game, but we had our Thursday night game last week, the game you were at. It was over in 2 hours and 17 minutes. And obviously Thursday nights are a big night for us when you've got, beer specials and things like that. And we always cut off our alcohol sales in the top of the 8th inning. And I think we're in the top of the 8th inning at 8:45. And I was like, oh crap. Like, look at all the sales we've missed and things. So we've been talking internally, even amongst the other GMs in our league, of like, what are other things we can do while the game's going quicker, that we're not losing those sales. And obviously you can create additional point of sales points and things like that. But one thing we started doing last year that was huge and has only grown even more over these first 9 games is doing in-seat ordering, in-seat food ordering delivered to your seat. Obviously, staffing continues to be a challenge, and we're working through that. But that's something we hammer home to our fans all the time is, the ballpark's set up pretty nicely that even if you're in line at the concessions, it's an open concourse plan that you can still see the game. But, you may wait 15, 20 minutes in line for concessions. And right now our wait times on our in-seat ordering app are 5 to 7 minutes from the time you hit go on that order to the time that we get it to you. Now, granted, not every concession item is available on that app, but your staples are. Your bottled beers, your fountain sodas, all that, your hamburgers, your hot dogs. So, we continue to push that heavily because it's been so successful. It was obviously successful last year in a year coming out of COVID. when people didn't want to wait in lines. But now when they see, oh man, I can place an order and literally have my food and drinks in hand in under 7 minutes, that's something we continue to push too, which also helps when the game's going quicker, I think, as well.
Yeah, speaking about the game going quicker, like it was, we have our shoots regimented where, you know, I get there and I want to be done with X amount of stuff before the anthem starts. As a vet, I love the anthem, is important to me. And then I'm like, okay, let me pick it back up in the 4th and then the 8th. And I was like, wow, this is flying by to the point that I don't feel like I got to watch very much baseball at all. I was like kind of bummed out about it.
No, I've even joked with our players, like at some point, if the games keep going this quick, we're going to get into June and July when the sun's obvious, where, it's daylight for a while. And are we going to have to delay the start of a fireworks on Friday because we're going to be done by 9 o'clock before the sun's even down?
Yeah, no, exactly. I wanted to go back before we play a little rapid fire. I wanted to go back to you talking about texting the other GMs of your league. And it's like, I don't imagine that, the Astros, Yankees, and Red Sox are all on a group text, right? I can't imagine that. But how collaborative is it? I mean, are you borrowing ideas? Are they borrowing from you? How much is the idea sharing going on?
I think that's what's been amazing in minor league baseball since I've been in the industry, is we are very collaborative in that we're not really competing against one another. We're usually at least an hour and a half from each other. Yes, some of our fans may go up to Asheville and vice versa when each team's there, but it's not like we're stealing each other's fans or marketing in each other's territories and things like that. So it always is what can work, and not everything's going to work in each market, but just to be able to bounce ideas off of each other, or even, as we still come out of the pandemic and get an understanding of, who all still is experiencing staffing issues, or because food and beverage, one, is where I think we're all still getting hammered on staffing shortages and things like that, is, okay, who's comfortable going back to self-serve picnics? Or for us, we've never done self-serve picnics. It's always been our staff, but now we're so short-staffed. Teams that have done it in the past, how did that work for you guys? How did you do portion control? Again, it's a very collaborative environment. And I think that's what's always been so key about, when the winter meetings are normal, or when we've had our innovator summit and things like that, is you get all of us in the rooms together, and that's where we bounce so many different ideas off of each other. I've spent a lot of time previously in years giving presentations on some of those community nights, and it's they're only successful as, one, if you try to execute it, but you've got to have that community leader on the other side of the table who believes in that as well, that's going to help you execute it.
I think that's well said. And I think it's what attracts me to the minors, just as sort of an outsider, is the fact that it does feel like it's one team moving in one direction. Cause you're right. You're competing against movie theaters and stuff. You're not competing against. Yeah.
It's always that's what being a Clemson alum, I go back to Clemson and speak to a lot of classes throughout the year. And that's the biggest thing, is I always tell them is, our competitors are not other sports properties. It's other venues or entertainment things that are competing for the family's extra income or extra spending money. And I think what's great about what we do personally here in Greenville too, is we self-operate everything. We're not outsourcing food and beverage. We're not outsourcing merchandise. We spent a lot of time and effort this past off season, especially with inflation and rising costs and everything, to sit down with our food vendor partners and, okay, what can we do to keep our costs low so the prices are still as low as possible to the fans, in that at the end of the day, a family of 4 can still come to a Drive game and buy 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 sodas, a big tub of popcorn, and spend under $65, $70 and be entertained for, I guess, 3.5, 4 hours now instead of 4.5, 5 hours with the game going a little quicker. But if you got here when gates, again, it's really where's the family spending that discretionary income?
I think it's so enlightening, and I'm hoping other people that are listening to the show get that that's really how it works, as opposed to what they're used to at sort of the major league level. All right, let's play a little Pepper. You ready?
Sure.
Mind cleared?
As best as it's going to be.
All right. Well, we'll start easy. What's your go-to ballpark food?
Ooh, soft pretzel. Because normally
Okay.
And we've got really good Bavarian soft pretzels here at the ballpark. I've kind of gotten in the habit over the years of bringing my own lunch and dinner to the ballpark and things like that. So by the time I'm ready to eat something late, it's more of just a snack. So the go-to is usually one of our Bavarian soft pretzels, or I don't know if you got to experience our Sweet Caroline's ice cream, but that hard dipped ice cream. Yeah.
Wait till you get to the episode. I actually, wait till you get there.
That's a good one too. I'm not going to lie, during the COVID year when we had no season, I was still coming into the office to do work just for normalcy's sake. And obviously I have a key to everywhere in the ballpark. I think every once in a while I'd go into that concession stand and make myself an ice cream cone, even though there was no season going on.
I love that. Okay. Marvel or DC?
Ooh, Marvel.
Okay. Strangest thing you've ever seen at a ballpark?
Man, that's such a loaded. Honestly, I think that one of the things I always recall on one of the craziest things I've ever seen, our head groundskeeper, who's been with us since the very beginning as well, almost got ejected during a game in 2017. Is either 2016 or 2017. I was convinced he was about to get ejected during a game. So I think that's probably the craziest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that definitely fits the bill. As a baseball fan, what's the first time the game ever broke your heart?
Well, I'm born and raised in outside of Philadelphia, so Joe Carter's home run against the Phillies in the World Series.
Yeah, that'll do it.
We got some redemption in 2008. I was actually at a couple of the World Series games when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008. So that's
getting Roy
at least a little bit redeemed.
That was the Roy Oswalt years, right? When he yeah. I remember after the whole Joe Carter thing, the Astros got Mitch Williams, and I thought he'd be awesome. I don't think he made it halfway through.
No.
Okay, so outside of the drive, what is your favorite brand in minor league baseball?
Oh man. Favorite brand. I hate to admit this because we torment each other so much on Twitter, but I'm gonna have to go with the Columbia Fireflies because I'm good friends with several members of their front office. I love that ballpark too. I like their use of the neon and everything like that. That's one I hate to admit though, just because we go back and when we were in the same league, we used to go back and forth and give each other so much grief on social media.
I love that. Okay, dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Star Wars or Jaws?
Jaws.
Yes. I mean, I love Star Wars, but Jaws is my favorite movie.
I don't know if I should even admit this. I don't think I've seen a single Star Wars movie all the way through.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's silly, but I don't know. y'all need to have Jaws night at the park. I'll be back.
Yeah, there we go.
Kevin Costner as a cowboy or a baseball player?
Baseball player.
All right. And when you go to a new ballpark, where's your favorite spot to sit?
Man, I'll tell you what, after work, I probably don't sit for too long. I now having, again, being in minor league baseball for my 19th season, when I go to another ballpark, I probably sit for 2 innings. I like to be behind the dugout or behind home plate, but really that's for 2 or 3 innings. And then I kind of just want to walk around the ballpark and take everything in, look at their concessions, look even at how their menu boards are laid out, how their food and merch kiosks are laid out. I mean, I went to a game the year the Red Sox won the World Series in 2018. Our season had just ended. The Red Sox happened to be playing in Atlanta. Some members of the Red Sox front office had hooked myself and one of my friends up with some tickets. And I left my buddy in the seat after the second inning and walked around for the other set. And he kept texting me like, "Where the heck are you?" And I was like, "I'm just walking around looking at everything else." And he was kind of like, "Well, you're missing a great game." And I'm like, I've seen enough baseball this year. I'm kind of just taking everything else in to see where we can get better.
And Truist Park is great. Like I got to go there in 19, I think. It was in the middle of my crazy day where I did Gwinnett and Chattanooga on the same day, and I did the Braves in the middle.
Yeah, that's a beautiful ballpark. I think my go-to major league stadium still is Camden Yards, being my favorite.
Made it yet. Need to go. All right, last question then. What is your go-to baseball movie?
Major League, the first one.
All right. Well, he is Eric Jarinko, the GM of the Greenville Drive. Thanks so much for having us out, and thanks for being on Let's Get To.
Absolutely. Anytime, and hope to have you back soon.
Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd.
The seventh inning stretch. What's going on outside of the ballpark? Presented by the Dad Hat Chronicles.
Root for the home team. They don't wait, it's a shame.
And we're excited to welcome Let's Get To as we continue exploring Greenville, South Carolina. We've got Jonathan Brashier from Visit Greenville. Jonathan, thanks so much for jumping on.
It's a pleasure to be here.
So we are here. We came to Greenville for the ballpark, for the Greenville Drive. But I love that when people travel, it's not just about going to a ballpark. It's about seeing an entire community and experiencing it. So tell me a little bit about just Greenville and kind of what makes it stand out.
You know, I'm a Greenville native. I've lived here my entire life. And to see how this city, this destination has changed over the course of my life is just unbelievable. I often think back to when I was in high school and in my younger days, thinking we never came downtown, you know, and just to watch the transformation over the last decade has just been incredible. We're just blessed with beautiful parks. We have an amazing food scene. We have an amazing arts district here, full of thriving local artists. We've got great music venues. I mean, we just have it all. I mean, breweries are becoming the thing now, and independent restaurants are showing up all over town, not just on Main Street, but everywhere. Regional chefs are becoming recognized and opening their own new food establishments. And I mean, it's just unbelievable what all we have going on.
Let's talk about the food scene for a bit. I mean, what are we looking at? Is it a little bit of everything? Is it very rooted in sort of South Carolina tradition? I mean, how's it all going?
You know, it's amazing. So we have everything. I'll start with one of my favorites. Our Table 301 restaurant group is a local businessman who has really made his mark in Greenville, Carl Sobocinski. Sobeys is kind of our signature restaurant downtown. It's been here for over 20 years. It was a little ahead of downtown in its opening, and it has thrived and survived. It is it's like New South Southern cuisine. So it's a high-end upscale take on Southern food. They're famous for their shrimp and grits and their crab cakes and their braised beef. It's probably one of my favorite places. And when we have new people visit Greenville, it's probably the first place I send them. And its popularity has just grown and grown throughout the years, and it remains, in my opinion, one of the hardest places to get a reservation to. So you know, that's kind of a staple. You almost have to experience that. That particular restaurant group also grew into Italian food, Mediterranean food, French food. So we've got food, I think, that really represents the globe right here in Greenville. And then you move into other things. We have the Village of West Greenville, which the food scene has just taken off there. There's lots of independent restaurants there. The Anchorage is a favorite for small plates and tapas, just really unique things. We've got restaurants popping up in old textile mills I love
really that repurposing
cool,
of old space. I love it.
It's amazing. It's amazing to watch these historic old buildings transform into something just remarkable and unique and a true experience. You leave not feeling like you've just been to a restaurant to eat a meal. You've actually sat in a place of history, where the pillars of Greenville were founded on, and you just have an amazing experience. Great food, great cocktails. So we've just got amazing things popping up all over town on the food scene.
Talk about how important a food scene is, particularly for visitors and the local community, of having something unique to your town and not being relied on an Applebee's or something like that to kind of grow that culture.
Yeah, absolutely. My last 20 years before joining Visit Greenville has been spent in the hotel industry. So
okay.
I try to stay very in touch with what's going on with travelers. And I think travel has changed for so many people through the last several years, specifically with the pandemic. But even leading into that, the experiential traveler has kind of come to the forefront of things. And I know even for myself, when I go to a new city, I want to explore what that city has to offer that I cannot get at home. And so I'm always looking for the hottest local spot or maybe the best hidden gem. And Greenville is just full of those. And I think that's what makes us, that's one of the great things that makes us an interesting destination, is that we do have lots of things like that you cannot get. And, you can't get that exact thing in your hometown. So, you always hope that it's something that brings people back because they love it so much. They've got to have more of it. But I think it's very important to have a local flair, to have things that are so unique to the destination that you cannot get them everywhere.
One of the things that I thought that caught my eye on the Visit Greenville website was America's friendliest city. Talk a little bit about that. I mean, how important is it as a CVB and as you're encouraging people to come to make sure that everybody's welcome when they get there?
Well, I think that's a huge accolade, and it's actually one of my favorites to be voted the #1 friendliest city. Greenville is really a feeling, and I say this all the time. There's something special about Greenville that is almost hard to describe in words. You almost have to come here and experience it for yourself. I traveled for about 10 years with my job doing some hotel projects around the Southeast. And I was always spreading the word about how great Greenville was and how amazing my hometown was. And I would, people used to laugh at me. I would refer to it as like little Europe, or, I would compare it to a bigger city just because, our main street is walkable. It's so clean. It's beautifully laid out. They take very good care of it during all seasons. There's something interesting to look at all year long. But there's also just this feeling of friendliness. You can stop anybody on the street and ask them how to find something, and most people will know where that landmark is.
Yeah.
And I think it's because we really do embrace welcoming people to this town. We want this town to be great. We want people to come see it. We want people to stay here for 3 nights. We want them to move here if they're so inclined after spending a few nights. We always say if we can get you to stay here 3 nights, you'll want to move here.
Okay. Challenge accepted.
So that's fantastic. But I just, we're in the heart of the South. So I think Southern hospitality rings true here. I think it's very easy for us because it's who we are, and we embrace having the public come and love our city.
As we wrap up, this show is a travel show through the lens of minor league baseball. Greenville Drive are one of the longest, most traditional baseball teams out there, baseball in that town. How important is the ballpark as a sort of magnet for other businesses and other sort of forms of culture?
I think it's tremendously important. That ballpark has transformed our West End into just a continuance of our Main Street. I think having a baseball team of that caliber here really sets us aside from a lot of other destinations. And it's a very popular attraction. We work with them all the time on events, and Visit Greenville, we're season ticket holders, and we love to take people to the games and just enjoy that piece of kind of American pie with our clients and our visitors and our family and friends. So I think that baseball stadium has been an amazing addition to Greenville, and something that I can't imagine us without now.
Well, I agree. It's definitely makes for a very special community. He is Jonathan Brashier from Visit Greenville. Thanks very much for jumping on Let's Get To.
Thank you. It's great to be with you today.
We did have a great time in Greenville, and it was a lot of fun just to hang out in downtown. I started with lunch at Grill Marks and got a delicious burger and enjoyed some really great atmosphere and some very great service as well. And then I kind of just took the town in, walking down the river, walking around some of the classic buildings, looking at some statues, before, as one does on a beautiful spring day, treating myself to some ice cream.
And now on to close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
Back where we started from, Joe. That does wrap up this episode of Let's Get To. I want to thank Eric and the good folks from the Greenville Drive for absolutely welcoming us out to this beautiful ballpark.
We did have a great time in Greenville, South Carolina, and it was our first ball game in South Carolina, which means we can take the map from navy to rainbow.
We'll be back next week with our trip to the Columbia Fireflies. So until then, get you some peanuts, get you some Cracker Jack, and let's get to.
Let's Get To is presented by Twitchy Dolphin Media. Executive produced by Jessica Bybee Jedgetts. Produced by Andy Tom Chesson, Scott McIntyre, and James Christopher. Associate producers Andrew Nelson, Timothy Jedgetts, and Jess Canaster. Music by Andy Bertelson, Grace Usselman, and On Holiday. All content created by Let's Get To is the sole property of Twitchy Dolphin Media. All content created by teams covered in the episode are the sole property of the trademark holders. Let's Get To is a proud member of Curved Brim Media.
This podcast is part of the Curved Brim Media Network. Here are some of the other members of Curved Brim Media.
Hi, I'm James Christopher, host of Let's Get To, and we are going to be taking you on a tour of this great country through the lens of minor league baseball. That's right, from sea to shining sea, we're going to be looking at towns big and small as we explore the greatest game ever invented.
This is Patrick
and Corey
of BaseballMapper.com, and we have made an interactive map to help highlight all baseball teams from the majors down to collegiate summer leagues.
We want to bring you closer to baseball, so get on the site and find a team near you today.
Hi, this is Ed Rivera of the Data Chronicles. Join me as I interview people just like you and players, coaches, GMs on the path that led you to become a fan of the sport.
What's up, Bucketheads? I'm Anna DiTomaso, and each week on the Baseball Bucket List podcast, I speak with a different fan about their favorite baseball memories, what the game means to them, and what's left to check off on their baseball bucket list.
Hey guys, this is Patrick Larson from the Minor League Baseball Hat History Series, and in every episode I go through the history of minor league teams through my personal collection of hats. You can find me on Twitter at @PatLarson1. I hope you guys enjoy.
And I'm Paul Caputo. I tell the story of America one minor league baseball logo and nickname at a time on the Baseball by Design podcast.
Learn more about Curved Brim Media at curvedbrimmedia.com.